The following program does not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Reality Radio 101, its advertisers and sponsors, or its listening audience. Listener discretion is advised. Good afternoon and welcome to the Liquid Green Health Show with your hosts Fred and Janet Cox right here on Reality Radio 101. To contact us right now, send us an email. Our email address is liquidgreenhealthshow@gmail.com. And now, right to the best-looking health professionals of the Liquid Green Health Show, Fred and Janet Cox.
And I love that. I love that introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Liquid Green Health Show. A warm greeting to all our listeners and viewers joining us from across Canada, the United States, and around the globe. Of course, we are the Coxes, and your invitation into your personal space is genuinely appreciated. We start off today's show by announcing with great sadness the passing of former Canadian Prime Minister and Conservative stalwart Brian Mulroney, who died last Thursday at the age of 84.
I thought that was young.
I think
because
so too.
nowadays people should be living, especially if you have the money, you know, that you understand the health. I'm thinking, you know, we should be getting more centenarians.
Yeah.
So
But,
84, what do you think? I mean, my mom died at 87 and she was, you know, just
Yeah.
average.
Well,
So,
you know,
is it
he
stress?
lived a very stressful life. You know, being in politics and the leader of a nation is not easy.
I know they usually age while serving, you know, while in
Yeah.
power, but
Maybe
anyway,
he had underlying conditions. I don't know.
condolences to the family, correct?
Condolences. Yes, the former prime minister died peacefully, surrounded by family in a Florida hospital, and currently state funeral arrangements are currently being made.
I think that has to happen, right? Mhm.
Now, every Sunday at this hour, we commit to providing information in an engaging and edutainment format, and hopefully it will guide you towards a healthier lifestyle. So once again, we want to thank you for being an integral part of this enriched journey, and come along with us. We have a lot of information that we will pass on to you today. As well, please feel free to send those emails, keep them flowing, send it to liquidgreenhealthshow@gmail.com. Let us know where you're tuning in from. You wanted to say something?
Yeah. Last week we spoke about vitamin D and we've had a lot of response to that
A
show.
lot.
So many people saying that was a great show. Up to today, I was speaking with a friend of mine and she said, Janet, that was a really excellent show.
Yeah.
So vitamin D, I realized there were some things we wanted to talk about that we never did finish.
Yeah.
But perhaps later on we'll do a part 2 vitamin D.
Okay. You don't want to
So
say
much, huh?
it? No.
No.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
We have an exciting show today. We have a wonderful guest, and we're going to dive into it. We're going to be talking about the mouth.
This is a
healthy
long
mouth.
anticipated topic.
Yes.
Because we've been wanting to get a dentist on,
Yeah.
but we're still talking about the oral cavity, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
A healthy mouth can be a great asset. Our teeth that are, you know, they were developed from infancy, and they're supposed to last a lifetime because they have a lot of work to do.
Mhm.
Lots of chopping, right? Or chomping.
Mhm.
And yep, they do play an important role in our lives. They help us to chew so that food can be digested properly. They help us to speak clearly. And they also give our face a beautiful shape like mine. Beautiful
So,
face.
I was gonna say, what happened to yours? Are they okay? Anyway, did you put in your plate this morning? Your dentures?
Yeah, I got a couple. Smile also has other day-to-day benefits, and here to tell us all about that, as well as the pros and cons of oral health, is our guest today, Janae Williams.
And Janae, thank you so much for agreeing to come on the Liquid Green Health Show. We met you not too long ago, and we were so impressed with how you were dealing with especially the young children that stopped at your booth when we talked with you. And your booth was interactive, and you had stuff that they could play with. And children are so fascinated with the mouth. They always like to play doctor and dentist. So I'm going to read your bio, ask you a couple of personal questions, and I know we have a lot to talk about, so we're going to jump right in. Last week, Fred and I were alone, and we did all the hard work. Today, you're in the hot seat. You're going to be the one talking lots today, all right? You look so young. Can I ask how old you are?
You know what, Janet, I'm going to let you take a guess.
Oh gosh. Frederick, you guess.
I would say she's probably about 35.
No, I would think she's about 20, okay, because of your experience working, I would think you're about probably 30.
Well, I thank you. Most people usually guess around 18 or 19. I'm actually 28 years old.
28. Okay. It's because you've been doing this for so long. So you know what? Fire him, because there's no way you look 35. Absolutely not. Okay, I went according to experience. Anyway,
Yes.
So you're a registered dental hygienist, and you're a passionate advocate for oral health. And because you've had more than a decade experience in the dental field, including roles in pediatric and general dentistry. You understand the importance of comprehensive dental care and from a very young age. And you firmly believe in the direct link between oral health and overall well-being. And what I realize is that's critical, because most people, it's as if your mouth is separate from your body. We talk about everything else, and usually the mouth is like, as if teeth and mouth is...
It's an afterthought.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, and I know you work a lot in the community, and in addition to your professional pursuits, you love spending quality time with your daughter and family. How old is your daughter?
My little one is 7, just turned 7.
Okay, your little one, do you have a big one?
No, just the one.
Okay, all right. And whether it's exploring new activities or simply enjoying each other's company, family remains at the heart of your life. And you know what? That's how it should be. And I think for most people, that's how it is.
Yes.
So through your entrepreneurial endeavors as a practice owner, you own your own business, and I recommend you for that, because most hygienists work in a doctor's office, but you actually have your own practice. So you're seeking to revolutionize the way people perceive and prioritize oral health. So from innovative educational initiatives, community outreach programs, you have dedicated your young life so far to oral hygiene, to make it accessible and engaging for everyone. So you're not just, I love how you said this, you're not just improving smiles, but you're transforming them one patient at a time. And so once again, we welcome you. And your business, I'll say it right now in case we forget later on. Frederick, you want to say what her business is? I'll let you mispronounce it.
Janae Williams, Janae Williams' practice is philosophy, which sounds very much like philosophy, dental hygiene. And I'm going to ask you why that name. It is located at 219 King Street East in Bowmanville, Ontario. You can reach her online at bowmanvilledentalhygiene.com, or you can give her a call at 905-259-2046, and I'll repeat that a little later. Okay. Now, my very first question, the name. It sounds as though it's a combination of names. What made you choose that name?
Well, first of all, guys, I wanted to thank you so much for having me on the show today. It really is a pleasure. And I think this is a great initiative, because I think oral hygiene is something that we definitely need to talk about a little bit more. The name philosophy, I would love to be able to take credit for it, but it was not my idea. The name came about by a hygienist named Brenda. But basically, you're right. It's a mixture of words. So obviously, floss is one of those things that we want people to be doing more of. So why not put it in the name? And it makes it sound like it's philosophy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. Very good choice. Very
So
good choice.
my first question, we're gonna go right into it. Brushing or flossing? Which comes first? What should we do first?
You know what, Janet? The answer is gonna differ based on who you speak with. For me personally, I prefer flossing first because when you floss first, when you brush after, you're able to leave the toothpaste on your teeth. And what we want is for the fluoride to be active even when you're asleep. So I find that people, when they brush first, they floss after, they tend to rinse their mouth, and then you're rinsing off the fluoride that's on your teeth. I know it.
Yeah, because I always thought that after brushing, you floss, because dentists tell us that sometimes. Brush and floss.
Yeah, usually even when they do it, they they clean first and then they floss, and then they give you the mouthwash to rinse.
Yeah.
Right.
I cannot fathom. I saw that in the research. So many people say you should leave that toothpaste in your mouth. How gross is that? I didn't know anybody did that.
You know what? It's
I do that
one of those things that you have to get used to. For me, before I used to always rinse my toothpaste out.
Yeah.
Because it does feel better when it's out.
Yeah.
But I tried it a couple of times. I felt a little gross, but I kept trying because I'm in the field and I know that it's something I should be doing. I think it's just something that, it takes practice and it takes time for you to actually get used to it.
So you're saying that by leaving the toothpaste in after brushing, it's giving the toothpaste active ingredients in the toothpaste to do its work while you're sleeping.
Exactly. Especially if you have sensitive teeth, for example, because the sensitive toothpaste, they have certain ingredients that help with sensitivity. So instead of, rinsing away all that ingredient, you're leaving it on your teeth to sit overnight to continue to do its work.
Oh.
Okay. Now, we're our order. We're not gonna just flow. I'm gonna jump. Perhaps you might think a little bit all over the place, but as something comes up, I want to bring it up. You're talking about sensitive teeth. And I did not realize that, but mouthwash actually not recommended by all dentists. Where do you stand on telling folks in your practice about mouthwash?
See, the thing about mouthwash is that it gets rid of, the label will say it gets rid of 99% of bacteria, but it's getting rid of both bad and good bacteria. And as we know, we do need some good bacteria in the body. So for me personally, I don't necessarily love when my patients use it. If they can use it, here and there, maybe twice a week or 3 times a week, I'm okay with that. But I don't necessarily like them to use it every day because you do need that good bacteria to have that balance within the body and within the mouth.
Now, if you're using mouthwash, is it better to use it after brushing your teeth or before brushing your teeth?
If you are using a fluoride mouthwash, it doesn't necessarily matter because you do have the active ingredient in the toothpaste or in the mouthwash, which is the fluoride.
Okay.
And that is the elephant in the room, because in our field, when we talk about environmental toxins, fluoride is one of the areas that it's a big question mark. It's like we know we need fluoride in the water. And years ago, before the turn of the century, when the US first declared that fluoridation of water was policy, they thought that having fluoride in the water was going to solve this gum decay and gum disease, especially for children. It has not happened. It has actually, tooth decay is one of the fastest growing problems in modern society. The problem of teeth, correct? Right? So where do you stand on fluoride? What the controversy? What are the two sides? Could you explain if you can?
Yeah, fluoride I think is one of the most controversial topics in dentistry. I have patients that are, should I get fluoride? Should I not get fluoride? I have patients that are adamant that they do not want fluoride, and I think it's because there's so many different things out there, so many myths. My point of view is that it is needed, it's necessary. The science says that it does help with tooth decay. Now, I don't think it should be done. You should just do only fluoride to prevent tooth decay. I think you have to look at other factors as well. So you have to factor in your diet. You have to factor in, the pH of your mouth. There's so many other things that you have to look into. But I do recommend fluoride in my practice. I think it's something that is definitely necessary, especially for kids, because their teeth is still developing. Maybe not as needed for adults because we are not developing as much, but I definitely recommend it for kids and for patients that are kind of on the fence about fluoride. There is a newer mineral that a lot of people have been talking about. It's called hydroxyapatite. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of
Yes,
that one.
I've heard of it. And xylitol, right?
Yeah, xylitol as well. Mm-hmm.
But what they say is that xylitol is not strong enough to fight the cavities. So that if you're going to get a toothpaste without the fluoride, it should have that name. How do you say that again? Hydro what?
Hydroxyapatite.
Okay.
Nanohydroxyapatite.
Yes.
Because with the kids' toothpaste, I thought I heard that the research says they're trying to get fluoride out of kids' toothpaste. Is that not true then?
I haven't heard that. I think there are people that are advocating to have it removed, but I don't think that it will happen anytime in the near future.
Okay. Now, could you tell us, somebody walks into your practice, and, you're the hygienist. What is the role of the dental hygienist?
My role in dentistry is prevention. So we always hear that prevention is better than cure, and that's why people come to see me. So they come to me for me to take care of their gums, because the gum health is one of the most important things. So my role is prevention. So cleaning your teeth, polishing your teeth, getting rid of staining. If patients have sensitivity, there's certain things that I can do to kind of help with that at home. So it can all kind of be summed up into one word, which I always like to say is just prevention. That is my role.
Whitening has become very popular of late within the last, decade or so. And you look at television and everybody's teeth is lily white, using, all kinds of whitener. What kind of effect does that have on the teeth, on the enamel in the long term?
Long term, I would say it depends on the type of whitener that you're using. For whiteners that are, FDA approved, or they're dental grade whiteners, they don't seem to have any long-term effects. Perhaps the only effect I would say is tooth sensitivity. Because a lot of people, they do their teeth gets a little bit more sensitive after they've whitened. It doesn't always happen. It doesn't happen for everyone. Some people get sensitivity, but it's long-term. Some people get sensitivity that it's short-term. So I'd say that the number one risk or the number one impact of teeth whitening is just the sensitivity.
And I guess that would also determine the level of abrasiveness that is in the tooth, in the whitener.
Exactly. There's so many options on the market. There is, for people with sensitive teeth, there are actually options that it's a lesser percentage, which means that it's not as strong, so it doesn't affect your teeth and gums quite the same. So lots of options out there.
Look, I come from a culture and a country where when I was a kid, the adults, even us as kids, we would walk around and pick a bush. We call it black sage. Some islands call it chew stick.
Yeah.
And that literally would whiten the teeth. I mean, it worked.
I've actually never heard of that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. In the culture, like if you talk to a lot of Africans.
And people from the Caribbean.
In the Caribbean too, but I don't know, in Jamaica, well, from where I was, I didn't hear about it. But when I came here and met up with so many Africans, for a long time, they didn't do anything else but chew on this wood.
We call it black sage. It has a stainy flavor to it, and you would chew that just about all day. You keep scrubbing, brushing your teeth.
And they have
perfectly white teeth.
I remember hearing about that as a toothbrush, but I didn't realize that it had whitening properties as well.
I would think it did.
Strengthening of the gums.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Which brings us to toothbrushes. Today I was in a meeting. I had a Zoom meeting with my cleaning co-op today. And one of the ladies said, Jackie, she said, please ask her which toothbrush does she recommend? Should it be electric or should it be regular? What do you say?
You know what, that is a question that I get asked so often. I think it depends a lot on personal needs. If you're someone that is able to use the right angulation with your toothbrush, then you are good to use a regular toothbrush. It does a good job, even compared to the electric toothbrush. For patients that they have a little bit of trouble getting the right angulation, getting the toothbrush back there, I usually recommend an electric toothbrush.
Yeah. So what is the right angulation? Some people say brush up and down, some go one in direction. My new dentist says swirl it around. It's so many different options. Is there one that's going to work better than the other?
Some people go left to right,
Which should we do and what should we not do?
The one I can tell you that you shouldn't be doing is scrubbing. I know a lot of people, when they're brushing, they're scrubbing because they think they're doing a good job.
That's the left to right action.
Exactly. More harm than good. For kids, we tend to tell them to do more of a circular motion. So just going around with the toothbrush, just going around. With adults, we want to do more of a sweeping motion. So we're bringing the toothbrush up so that way we're getting along the gum line.
And is that also to preserve the gum line?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Now, how often should someone change their toothbrush?
Well, you should be changing your toothbrush every 3 to 4 months, or if it's visibly worn, then you should be changing it sooner.
Okay. And the next follow-up question to that is type of toothbrushes, in terms of the softness of the bristle.
Yeah. You know what? I'm from Jamaica. I was born and raised in Jamaica, where everyone seemed to think that if you don't have a hard toothbrush, you're not doing a good job. And that is a complete myth. So when you have a harder toothbrush, or a toothbrush with hard bristles, you're actually damaging the gums. It's not something that happens overnight. So it's not going to happen after 1 year or 2 years. But over time, if you are brushing with a hard toothbrush, you can actually wear away at your tooth structure and your gums. So what we recommend in dentistry is a soft or an ultra soft toothbrush for all patients. It's gentle on the gums, it's gentle on the tooth, and it does equally a good job as a hard toothbrush.
And how often? This is the big question too. When we were young, we heard 3 times a day. After each meal, you brush.
Yeah.
But what is the recommended thing right now? 2 times? How long should we be brushing?
So we recommend 2 times a day. So in the morning when you wake up, and then at nighttime before bed. For patients that are, more high risk for getting cavities, more high risk for plaque buildup or tartar buildup, I'd say try to brush 3 times, even 4 times a day. But for the average patient, I'd say about 2 times a day, 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes at nighttime.
Now, you mentioned plaque.
Before you leave the minutes, I was listening to a dentist. His name is Charles Ruenstein. And he's one of the top, he's an older guy, and he's one of the top dentists known worldwide. And what he said, and I'm going to ask your opinion, because mostly all the hygienists says to, just as you did, that's what the general thought is. But what he said is that most people underbrush, and that we should be spending at least 10 minutes. He says, I would prefer if you spend 10 minutes once a day and did a fantastic job brushing and flossing and doing all the other things we do with teeth, rather than just go. He said the average that people spend on their teeth is about 30 seconds.
No, I can't see myself spending 10 minutes.
No.
I have less than 32 teeth.
Not at all. I think 10 minutes is a little bit excessive.
Yeah.
So it's not realistic.
It's not about the time. It really is just about the technique. Because if you can do a good job in 2 minutes, if you can, spend the time, get the technique right, get the angulation right, then it's equally as effective as spending 10 minutes but maybe not getting the angulation right, not doing it the way you're supposed to.
Okay, and before you move on to your question, don't forget, there is something I know, I couldn't find out the name of it, but I know if somebody was really into checking their teeth and making sure it was clean, there's some solution you can put in your mouth, your gum, that you can see where the spots you've missed. Do you know what that is, or can you recommend something?
It's called a disclosing agent. So if you go online anywhere, you go to the store, you ask for a disclosing agent, they should be able to direct you. So basically what it is, it's a purple tablet or a pink tablet. You chew it up and it shows you exactly where the plaque is on your teeth. And you just brush until that is all gone.
I am going to try that and brush 2 minutes and see if it's gone. We're going to challenge our listeners to do that. Before you go to emails, I know you had a question.
No, I don't remember what the question was.
It's about toxin. It was about the plaque.
Oh, yeah. When it comes to plaque, I've heard a lot of, stories about it. How quickly does plaque build up in the mouth? Say after you brush your teeth or you've been for a cleaning?
Plaque builds up right away. It can
right
start
away?
Yeah, it can start to build up within 24 hours of going to the dentist. And that's why we recommend, daily brushing, daily flossing, just to try to minimize the amount of plaque in the mouth.
And I guess it depends on the type of foods that you eat as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. About 2 years ago, there was a study that came out. I don't remember. This is just me remembering something that I heard. And I heard this in Canada. And they were saying flossing, the research has shown that flossing is not as important as we've always thought it to be. And I thought, how wrong could that be? Is there any truth to that? Like, if you don't floss, say, for a week, or what's the danger if you don't floss?
Well, the danger is obviously getting cavities in between your teeth. The toothbrush, no matter how good of a brusher you are, it just cannot get in between your teeth. And that's why we need to floss, or we need to use something in between to get the plaque that's in between the teeth. Now, the thing about it is that a lot of people, they're at a lower risk for getting cavities. So I've seen patients where, hey, they don't floss as much as they should, but they don't get cavities. And I've seen patients that they floss religiously, they brush religiously, and they still always get cavities. So there's so many moving parts, so many factors.
But the flossing would also depend on how widely spaced are your teeth, wouldn't it?
Yes. So there's different tools. I think
the closer the teeth are, the more important it is to floss.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah.
And I have 2 teeth back here. I sometimes fight. It's so close to floss, to get it in between,
And then
sometimes such a problem.
And then as we get older, many of us from the Caribbean, we, in our early age, we had some of our teeth extracted. So what's left, it's shifting all over the place.
Oh my God.
Right.
So that makes it even more important that you do your flossing.
And this is what happened. Do you remember? Well, not do you remember, but it says during the time, World War II, way back then. And dental health has changed a lot. But every time you see a movie or in the old Westerns, one of the worst experiences ever is having your tooth pulled.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
But what I realized is that what they used to do is to pull all the teeth and put in the dentures because the gum disease was so rampant and there was no way to fix it. And I thought, oh my goodness, that's actually true. That's how it used to be, and it's barbaric.
I'm going to go ahead.
When we come back, Fred's going to go to some emails. When we come back, I'm going to ask you about dental health and overall health, because you mentioned that in your bio, and we really need to make the connection because most people are not connected, and it's so interconnected.
And I also have another question that I would like to ask. But when we come back, let me just go to some email, and then we'll come back to our guest. Folks, before I get to the email, let me just welcome all of our listeners that are tuning in, whether it's radio or on YouTube or on Facebook. You're listening to the Liquid Green Health Show. We are the Coxes, and our guest today is Janae Williams, and we are discussing oral health. She is a qualified dental hygienist, has her own practice in Bowmanville, and
Philosophy.
it's called Philosophy.
And that's Flossophiee.
Yes.
Correct? Philosophy.
That's correct.
I really love that name.
Lovely. And I'll give out your information when we get back. So let's go to some email. Where do we start?
Amy?
Yeah, this came in prior to the show. And Amy says, baking soda and peroxide is a great toothpaste concoction.
Okay, what do you say, Janae?
My thoughts on baking soda is that it is actually a little bit too abrasive for the teeth. So using it once in a while, I would say is fine, but continued use, everyday use, over time, you're going to see lots of wear, lots of acid erosion of the teeth. So I don't recommend.
And she mentioned peroxide. Is that okay?
Peroxide peroxide has staining properties. So if you are using that every day, you can see staining on your tongue or staining on your teeth. And a lot of people don't like that. So I'm usually, very cautious when recommending hydrogen peroxide.
Oh, and I hear even some, the mouthwash can cause staining.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, that's right.
What would that be? I know you have the antiseptic mouthwashes and then you have the bacterial mouthwashes. Is it one or the other or both or the brand or what? How do we know?
We haven't really been able to pinpoint exactly what mouthwash causes it and what mouthwash doesn't. But I know it's been a big thing in the dental groups right now where everybody's saying that mouthwash is causing a lot of staining.
Wow. Who knew that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, here's an email from Eric, and he says, Fred, that is so nice that you mentioned Mulroney's death.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Very nice of you.
Yes. Well, we're Canadians.
It's important enough for us to mention it. Thank you. Here's one from Kelly, and Kelly says, hi, Coxes. Great guest and show today. Dental problems.
She said, great guest and show today. You got to read that with some more emphasis.
All right, you read it.
She didn't say great guest and show today. Come on now.
Okay,
go ahead.
You read it.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Dental
always throwing me under the bus. Yeah.
Dental problems are such a precursor to other health problems. Thanks for sharing. And that's, as I said, that's where we're going to go next. Right? Thank you for that.
That's
Kelly.
what I was going to read. Right. There's another one from Kelly. Do the Coxes sell dental products? Thanks. No, we don't, but you can always contact Janae and we'll give you that number and she will be able to help you with that. Okay, so we'll give that out a little later.
But we do sell other products. We sell liquid green products. What else do we sell?
We sell supplements and stuff like that.
And we do, last week we talked about vitamin D, and we do have a fantastic vitamin D that we can promote. And if people, we have a waiting list on the Liquid Green Health Show website, and there you will get more information.
And Bill says, is baking soda basically the same?
The same, yeah.
Is baking soda and peroxide a good alternative to toothpaste?
Well, you've answered that.
And you've answered that.
But I'm going to throw that one in, not just, what about tea tree oil? I've heard of coconut oil, tea tree oil. We've even heard of turmeric.
Yeah. Turmeric is going to stain your mouth. It's going to use that. No, but it's going to give you yellow teeth.
I remember a nutritionist telling us turmeric, and we tried it at once. It doesn't stain your teeth.
No,
it's amazing. What do you say about that, Janae?
No, I have heard about the turmeric as well. I know there's actually a turmeric whitening product that's on the market. My thoughts is that I haven't worked with a patient or seen a patient that's taken it or tried it, but my thoughts would be that it would stain the teeth. So I don't really know or understand why we would be using turmeric, but for me, like things like that, as long as it's not going to cause any damage to the teeth, then I'm okay with my patients using it.
What about coconut oil? It's supposed to be one of the
you use it for oil pulling,
right?
Yes. So I've heard about oil pulling. My thoughts is, you know what? There's no research that says that it helps, but there's also no research that says that it doesn't help. So if my patients want to use it, I have absolutely no problems if people do that.
And it tastes so much better than Listerine.
No, I think Listerine is really good, the taste.
Or I shouldn't say Listerine, I should say mouthwash.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's another
Okay.
email for you, and I think you answered this, but you
Mhm.
may want to
Yeah.
expand on it.
Mhm.
Can your Cox says, can your guest recommend the texture of a toothbrush? What does she recommend? Soft, medium, or hard? Thanks.
Okay, might have joined a little bit late because you
Yes.
did talk about that. And your recommendation, just say it again, was?
Always a soft toothbrush or an ultra soft toothbrush.
Okay, great. And they wanted to know if you could recommend a brand, but I don't think you want to do that
Yeah.
because there are just so many.
There's so many brands out there.
And we
Whichever
don't
one
want
you
to
feel,
push one up,
yeah,
you know,
whichever one you feel comfortable with, that's the one I would recommend.
as a dentist, do you actually recommend to your patients one or the other?
She's a hygienist.
I mean, not a dentist, hygienist.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think, but the thing about toothpaste is that there's so many on the market, but each has its own purpose. And what I recommend will be determined by my patient's needs. So
Okay.
there's some people that have sensitive teeth, so we would recommend like a Sensodyne. There's some people that they're more high risk for getting cavities, so we would recommend like a Colgate Prevident. Some people have dry mouth, so we would recommend like a Biotine. So it's not a one size fits all. It really is just dependent on your needs.
Okay. Now here's a question. I don't know. This might be a dental question, question for a dentist, but maybe you may want to take a shot at it. This came in from Irene, and she says, "Hi, Janet and Fred and guest. What about oral thrush? Causes, cures, and prevention."
Okay, can we leave that one? I don't know if you can answer it, but let's just leave that one, go back to what we were, and then we'll come back to this right after.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
So, because thrush, extremely good, especially in little babies.
Yes.
That's one of the big causes of the mouth problems, right? So I'm putting a note of it, thrush, the causes and prevention.
Yeah.
So
what was your question?
I wanted to ask before we left for this
email,
before we left for emails was the importance of dental health and your medical, your overall, your general health. It says there's 630,000 deaths. I couldn't believe this. That's due to tooth infection, and 50% have been triggered by dental
infections,
right? Problems. And if you have a healthy mouth, chances are you'll have a healthy body. And for a lot of people, there is pain. Okay, let you answer that first, and then we'll come back to pain and what brings people to the dentist, to the dental hygienist. All right? So why should we take care of our mouths?
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize the connection between our body and our mouth. It's almost as if it's two separate entities. But there's such a great link between our mouth and our body. For instance, like you mentioned, dental infections. A lot of people don't know that if you leave a dental infection, it can actually spread to your brain. And that's something that, I hear a lot in the practice where patients, they have a tooth that is infected, but it's not hurting, so they want to leave it. And I wouldn't recommend doing that because, like I said, it's something that spreads throughout the body. It can go to your brain. It can go to other parts of your body. So these are things that, people have to consider when thinking about oral health.
And it goes to your brain because the infection, the bacteria can actually enter the bloodstream.
Exactly.
And then it goes to the heart and then the lungs and then back to the heart. And then it's pumped all over the body, including to the brain. So
exactly.
Now, a good percentage of heart attacks is due to bad oral health.
I'm not sure percentages, yeah, but I know that came up, right? And as you mentioned, why people tend not to go to the dentist is they don't feel pain.
Yes.
So the dentists love pain, right? They love to cause pain.
They love pain because then it means
that's their best friend,
in a pretty penny.
Yeah. And pain is like when people have had dental pain and they liken it to giving birth pains. But what if you have pain is it always because you need a tooth extracted? Could you talk to us a bit more about extraction? When like you're about prevention, you're not, but what's the trend nowadays? Are dentists really trying to help people to save the tooth, or are they quickly recommending, you know what, is just easier and cheaper? Because cost of seeing a dentist is such a huge issue. What are your thoughts on that?
I think compared to back in the days, a lot more dentists are interested in saving teeth. I think back then a tooth was hurting, let's just pull it out. Nowadays, dentists want to save your teeth. So what we do in practice is that we always give patients the options. So we will say, okay, this tooth, you know, it's hurting, and here are your options. You can have a root canal. You can leave the tooth as is and try to manage the pain at home, or you can have the tooth extracted. Now, the difference between a root canal and getting the teeth extracted is thousands of dollars. So a lot of patients, they'll say, hey, you know what, just get rid of it. So we always want to try to save a tooth, but there's also some instances where a tooth is just not savable because we have to look at other factors. Is the tooth well supported by bone? Is there a lot of gum disease around the tooth? Because if it is, and we try to save the tooth, you probably will lose it in another 2 years. So we always factor in different things when deciding what to do.
Okay, in your answer, there are several things I want to ask you just about what you said. Apart from the expense, can you explain to people, to our listeners, if you can, what exactly is the root canal? I had a hard time wrapping my mind around what exactly what is the point of doing the root canal?
So we typically do a root canal when a tooth is infected or when a tooth is dead or necrotic. So what happens is your tooth naturally has nerve endings, and it has roots or nerve endings in your roots. When that is dead, we have to clean out the tooth. So basically what a root canal is the dentist goes into the tooth, he cleans it out with bleach, or sometimes they use hydrogen peroxide. They fill it with some material and then they close it over. So that is basically a way of allowing the tooth, or giving the tooth a longer life.
Okay. Now, do you see people nowadays, because with all the technology, etc., are people keeping those 32 teeth most of their lives?
You know, I actually am. Like, I've seen patients that are like in their 90s with all their teeth or most of their teeth. And when I was younger, because I grew up in Jamaica, and I've never seen my grandmother with her teeth, her real teeth. So I thought that, you know, once you got older, you just lost your teeth. That was my thought process until I got into dentistry. But yeah, definitely a lot of people are keeping their teeth for a lot longer.
As I said in the opening of the show, it's supposed to last a lifetime.
Right, because enamel is the strongest thing in our bodies, right?
That's right.
Enamel
Yeah,
is stronger than bone.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize bone can regrow. You can actually regrow bone in the teeth. Is that true?
you can't regrow the bone. There's procedures that can be done to kind of add bone to what is already there, but there's nothing that they've developed yet to actually regrow your bone in your mouth.
Okay.
Unless you're a deer.
Yes, yeah. I heard something, and I listened to it. We had an experience. It wasn't a tooth, it was a finger. Our daughter, I forgot to tell you about this, Frederick. Our daughter, Kira, when she was little, the door slammed and she lost the tip of her finger. And we panicked so much, but we had the wherewithal to grab the little tip, put it in a container, rushed her to the doctor in ice.
Put it in ice and rush her to the hospital.
Rushed her to we didn't put it on ice. We just put it in a container and took her to the hospital. Yeah. And while we were there, I won't call the first hospital because they just had us sitting there. But we decided while we're sitting there, let's call sick kids, because We weren't at Sick Kids, but Sick Kids knows what to do with sick kids.
Mhm.
So we
Mhm.
called Sick Kids Hospital and they said, good thing you brought the finger. Give it to them. Ask them to put it on ice until we could see the doctor. The doctor came within, I guess, 30 minutes. He looked at the finger, cleaned it off, took the little piece, stuck it on, put a Band-Aid on it, and sent her home. Now she has, you can see a small deformity, but her finger is intact.
Mhm.
I could not believe that I heard there, you can do this if a kid falls and breaks their front tooth. You know, the kids have accidents all the time. What do you do? Have you ever heard of that you can take that tooth within 30 minutes? The dentist can actually stick it back on and it will grow. Is that true?
That is absolutely correct. So if anyone has any kind of accidents, the first thing that you do is just to put the tooth back in and go to a dentist right away.
Wow.
If you're not able to put the tooth back in, they always say to put it in a little bit of milk. So you put it in the milk and then you go to the dentist. If you can't get any milk, you put it in a little bit of water and then you bring it to the dentist. I've seen it where they've replanted the tooth. Now, sometimes the tooth do end up like needing a root canal or, it becomes infected, but it can be done.
Wow, that I couldn't believe it.
Even with with adults, it can be done.
Yeah, I've seen it with adult teeth as well.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness, wow. Okay, because the statistics, we're talking about gum disease, and it says 70% of people who are over 65 have some sort of gum disease. And for the younger people, it's 47% of people over 30 will have some form of gum disease.
Yes.
Problem, what do you think is causing this? Usually it's diet. You talked at the beginning about diet. What is the association of our diets and our oral problems? Right, Frederick?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so diet plays a huge role in oral health. If you are gonna be, having lots of pop, lots of soda, lots of, acidic foods, that can wear away at your teeth. If you have, certain types of carbohydrates, it's said that you can actually cause more cavities that way, or you can cause gum disease that way. So there's, lots of different factors that play a part in that.
Okay, so the biggest factor, I believe, is sugar. Sugar is the bad guy. Am I right?
No. Please don't say yes.
Not necessarily.
Yay.
Not necessarily.
I love you. I love you.
People always tell their kids no ice cream, no cakes, but there's actually certain carbs that are more harmful than sugar. And there's certain vegetables, certain fruits that's more harmful. Say, for instance, you're having a raisin as opposed to having a chocolate bar. The raisin is actually going to do more damage, or has the possibility of doing more damage than the chocolate bar. Because what happens when you eat a raisin, it's so sticky, it sticks to your teeth. Yeah. And even with brushing, it's so hard to get it off. With chocolate, it's more soluble, so you eat it, the water kind of washes it away, your spit washes it away. So it's, it's less likely that it can cause a tooth decay.
I have to ask you.
I don't know if I agree with you, but I'm gonna my guest.
No, but she makes sense.
You're my guest, and I'm going to respectfully say fine. But yeah. I think everything that because the whole sugar industry, right? When you go to a hotel, what do they leave on your pillow?
Candy
or
chocolate. Yes.
Look at how we spend the love affair with
Valentine's,
not just Valentine's, but with chocolates, for example.
Yeah.
Or not just chocolates, candy with Halloween.
Yeah.
How dentists tell parents, how should parents manage Halloween and the candy from an oral health point of view?
You know what? I always, and the dentists that I've always worked with, they always say one candy a day. So kids are okay to have one treat a day. Sure. So as long as they're doing that, as long as they're brushing after, flossing after, then we're okay with one a day.
Right.
I have to ask you,
Mhm.
I mean, we've been talking about the profession and, you know, the pros and cons. What made you get into this profession?
Oh, you know what? That's a very good question. I don't get asked that a lot. But you know what? Dentistry was something that it was never really on my radar. It's not, I've never thought of it as being, okay, this is a field that I love or I could get into. But I got a job in a dental office, kind of, helping out with sterilization and front desk. And I worked for this dentist, Dr. Mendoza, and she basically took me underneath her wing. So she started showing me all the dental stuff, and she was like, we use this for this, and this is why I use this. And I was like, oh, this is actually very interesting. And I couldn't see it at the time. I think, she kind of saw the potential to know that I could be really good at this, but I was so annoyed at the time because I'm like, why is she showing me all of this stuff? But it was actually really interesting. And the more I went to work and the more she showed me these things, it's the more interested I got in. So I decided to go to dental hygiene school.
Now that you are still young, you're only 28, you're a full-fledged dental hygienist for several years. What's the
Mhm.
next step for you? Will you go on to become a dentist? Is that a
I
dream?
it's actually not in the plan.
Mhm.
I will never say never, but I don't see myself going down that route simply because I've watched dentists and I think their job is more of a restorative. I like to be the person that helps before anything detrimental happens. So I love prevention. I love cleaning. I love seeing the before and after pictures of the cleanings.
And you know what? Your job is actually, if you do your job well, we won't have need for those dentists unless there's an accident, right?
Yeah, give and take.
But again, from the research that we have done, we found out that dental infections, I mean, there's a list of things, rheumatoid arthritis,
Hmm.
things like inflammation in the body, things like pregnancy complications,
Yes, yes.
all of these things, preterm birth, stillborn babies, all of these things can be impacted if we have bad,
And oral health.
if if we have infections.
Yeah, that is absolutely right. And that's why we encourage people to, go to your dental hygienist, go to see your dentist, stay on top of these things.
Mhm. And because they say if your dental health is good or if it's bad, it's like a precursor. What one dentist was saying is that the industry is too separated. For
Hmm.
example, you go to your doctor, they look at your heart, your doctor,
Hmm.
they can tell you about diabetes.
Yes.
They can tell you about your liver, your kidneys, everything else. Your
Hmm.
doctor has, but the dentist is totally separate, and the dentist and the doctors don't talk. And what
Yes.
they're saying is that there should be because there is such a correlation of something,
Hmm.
for example, like diabetes, that if your dental health is good, your diabetes is better. If your dental health is bad, your diabetes is worse.
Yep.
Yes.
So have you heard talks in the industry where they're trying to do more of that correlation between the practices?
You know what? I haven't heard any plans of doing that. But what I do know is for certain people or certain patients that are, higher risk or they have history of heart attack or stroke, we will speak with their family doctor. So we'll send a clearance just to find out, what's safe to do or if they need to take antibiotics before the appointment. So there is that kind of communication. The sad part is that it's mainly done via email or fax. So we're not really getting to speak about that patient. But you raised a very good point, and I think that's something that we should be including.
Okay. Now, the mouth. The first thing we do, everything we pick up, where does it go first? It's in our mouth.
Straight to the mouth. And
It's
then
the first point of entry for everything into the body. And then from the mouth, it
it
goes
goes
right
straight
down.
to the gut.
What
Straight
is
to the gut.
what is association? Can you tell us anything with the gut and the mouth? What are the connections? It's part of that system, right?
Yeah, yes, I think
Dirty mouth, bad gut.
Yeah, I think it really just depends on what you're eating, not just about your mouth, but the types of things that you choose to intake. It obviously is going to affect your gut health. And I think, you have to consider the fact that certain things last longer in the mouth or certain things take longer to digest. So that's all kind of part of your gut health overall.
Because we always say, sometimes when we have conversation, especially with kids, we'll say digestion starts in the mouth, which
Yeah.
means if
With
you're,
the saliva and
yeah,
stuff, right?
if you're not producing the adequate amount of saliva, or your teeth are not good,
Mhm.
your food will not be crunched properly. So that will affect digestion.
Exactly.
And guess what? Oh my goodness, Frederick is 6:25.
Yeah, and
We're
that has brought us to the end of our show,
I wanna make-
this interview.
right, but I want to make one last comment.
Mhm.
They say that the demand for dentists is increasing more rapidly than for any other occupation. That means we're not winning the war on oral health.
Because it's too expensive. What is happening because of the cost for dentistry?
Mhm.
It's not, people would make a choice,
Mhm.
dentist or food.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. But with that, we have to say thank you. Folks, our guests.
We have to say thank you. I know, but just quickly. Remember you mentioned your grandma?
Yes.
The fact that no teeth. This
Yes.
is something, Frederick, that is so horrible in most of the developing world. The whole eye care and dental care is one of the worst things globally that
Yes.
we really have to address. And I want to say, finally, thank you
Yeah,
for
Janelle.
shedding some light.
Yeah, Janae, this has been a wonderful conversation. Great opportunity to have you as a guest to explain a lot of things that
Yeah.
we wanted answered, and some of our guests, of course, wanted to answer, even though, lots of people did not write in, but I'm certain that they're taking notes. So once again, thank you, folks. We've been speaking to Janae Williams. She is the owner and oral hygienist of Philosophy Dental Hygiene, and that is in Bowmanville, 219 King Street East in Bowmanville. You can always give her a call at 905-259-2046. That is 905-259-2046, or go online and book an appointment at bowmanvilledentalhygiene.com.
I'm sorry,
Thank
folks, you have to be in Canada to do that. And you have to be in Ontario to do that. And you have to be in outside
Quebec.
outside Whitby, Oshawa to do that. All right. I want to end with this quote on the dentist thing. Hippocrates said something that you have said and that you practice, and it's that the best medicine is to teach people how to not need it. And that's what you do, and we thank you.
And that's preventative care. Thank you so much. And
thank you so much for having me on the show.
It's a pleasure. Have yourself a wonderful evening. Folks, anything you want to say?
No, I'm done.
You sure?
I'm sure.
You sure?
You have a minute before.
Yeah, I got a minute before Gary kicks me out. This is the Liquid Green Health Show. And as you said, we've been trying for the longest while to get a dentist on. And I don't think that anybody could have done this conversation any justice better than what Janae.
We're very pleased with information.
Very pleased.
Very
pleased with that. And so with that, folks, I would like to remind you that please visit liquidgreenproducts.com. Check out our products that we have there. We have some excellent, toxin-free products that you can use in your home, bathe your pets, clean your car, clean your office, whatever. And also, I'd like to remind you that good health is at the core of human joy and overall well-being. You want to say something? I
was going to say, with the liquid green, we actually use our liquid green multi-purpose cleaner to clean our teeth.
Yeah.
Really,
its influence is profound, extending beyond personal vitality and significantly bolster prosperity and economic advancement. Thus, investing in your health is akin to investing in a brighter and more prosperous future. With that, folks, same time, same place next week. You can find us right here on the Liquid Green Health Show. And together, we'd like to say, let's stay healthy on Reality Radio 101.
Thank you for listening to the Liquid Green Health Show with your hosts, Fred and Janet Cox, right here on Reality Radio 101.